Hey guys, so today we are going to talk about CI pipelines and continuous delivery. Yes we will. So let's get into it. Now you see, the other day I had a subscriber who reached out and showed me an interesting tool that I had a look at, and I must say that this tool, it's called Buddy, which is a CI tool, or CD, whatever I don't know exactly how you want to define continuous delivery over continuous integration, but anywho, let's just for the sake of argument say CI, right? Good. This may have been the most beautiful website I've ever seen, or at least on the top level of them. Like, it was really strikingly beautiful. And so he asked me, so Frederick, how do I think about CI and this sort of thing? I mean, when do I use it? And what do you think about this tool? And I had a look, and it seemed to be supporting most of the mainstream languages. It had a big emphasis on Node, integrations to Node, MongoDB, PHP, Laravel, like all of these different tutorials I could find on the website about this sort of thing, right? Which is great, because one of the things that is really sorely lacking in a lot of these more enterprise-y type of tools are good tutorials. It's actually one of the main things I love about MongoDB, that they have such great examples of so many things, for example. And React and other tools like that, they have a really good developer experience approach, and I think that's important, because trust me, it's hard enough to be a developer without you having to sit through really shitty documentation. Trust me, I work in Scala, I know how hard it is to find good examples of how to do certain things. Anywho, so he asked, basically, the question was, how do I think about it? And so I'll give you my perspective on this. So the first and foremost thing I can tell you is that in software development today, the two most common, let's call it three, because I think it's roughly three that are by far the most common when it comes to CI. So CI pipelines are usually made using Jenkins, GitLab, or Travis. Now, Travis is a hosted service that it's very, very popular. Travis CI it's very popular with open source projects, but for companies they usually use either GitLab or Jenkins. Now, you may be asking, what the hell is a CI pipeline? And that's a great question, and we're going to answer that question as well. You see, my friend, a CI pipeline is just a tool that allows you to push code and perform jobs on that code. And what the hell does that mean? Well, I'm glad you asked. You see, all you have to have is either a hosted solution that you pay somebody else for, a service such as GitLab has a hosted solution, for example. And then you have this platform where you can store your code and run jobs and do all of that good stuff. What is a job? Well, a job is just a series of tasks that you want to perform as part of a delivery cycle. What is a delivery cycle? Well, as you see, the problem kind of spirals on me here, because the problem with CI is that it's very, very hard for you to understand, if you're a beginner, what it actually means to have a CI pipeline. And I will try my best now to relate to you as accurately as I can what, in general terms, what it means. When you get to a certain size of a company, you will have what I call steps, from you writing the software to you delivering the software. The idea behind a CI pipeline is that these steps are something that some of them you can automate, and some of them you want to have certain thresholds, or you want to have stopping points along the way where certain things needs to happen in order for you to be allowed or to feel secure in that you can press the magic button that releases everything out to your users. A great example of this is that, all right, so you start writing you get a requirement, you start writing your software on your computer, and when you're done writing your feature, you run some tests or things of that nature on your computer. You just make sure that everything is working. And when you feel confident that it's working, you push your code using a version control system such as Git, for example, to your CI pipeline or your CI platform where your code is stored, where that it lives. And when you do that, a set of jobs that you have pre-programmed using this tool basically is going to run on your code. Because what if something was specific to your environment? Maybe things were only working for you in on your computer. Maybe it would not work, or you forgot something if it was trying to get to your user's site. So what then happens is that a job that is just you creating a bunch of commands. A classic job is that, all right, say if you're working in Node. So one job would be, all right, look at the package.json file, download all the dependencies, start up the server just to make sure that it starts, kill the server, run a bunch of unit tests, that sort of thing. Like it's just different steps that you would have had to do manually as part of a automated process. That's all it is. And what's nice about that is that now you have a automated way of making sure that certain steps are followed as part of your release cycle. And then you have other things such as, all right, you might transition from the testing stage with all the jobs that are associated with that over to manual testing, where you might have more long-running tests. Or as I said, like you could have manual tests, you can have integration tests, that sort of thing. It all depends on you. Like this is not a hard, like these things that I'm saying now, this is specific to each company. Usually every company has different jobs or processes for testing code. So that's why CI pipelines are very common at larger scale. That's because you need to make sure that the quality of the software is kept, and it's very easy for developers to forget certain things. That's why it's so nice to have a CI pipeline that always makes sure that you have run your test, you have done all these things right. So, when do you use this? When do you apply a CI pipeline? Well, personally I would say that you have to remember something. Setting this up, configuring all the jobs and so forth, requires a little bit of knowledge, or at least a little bit of research, and it's also something that is going to cost you a bit of time in maintenance. Sometimes it's going to cost us a lot more than a bit of time. I mean, we have tons of there's tons of time that goes into maintaining these sorts of things as your project grows. So my rule of thumb is this: don't look into CI pipelines unless you have at least two things. You have to have a stable, long-running project. If you are working for an ad agency or a small design firm or something like that, where you literally are just spending a few months or a year or something like that, a year is fairly long, but you're not spending all that much time on this, and it's going to be shipped to or delivered to a customer. You're not going to maintain it, you're not going to be a part of it, then there's no reason for you to have a CI pipeline. It doesn't make sense. CI pipelines are more, in my opinion, useful when the project is going to live for a long time. As a product company, that sort of thing, like Google, Facebook, like these companies have this sort of thing. Trust me, they have. And the other factor that needs to be taken in here is that you have to have at least one team of developers. If you are a single developer working on a project, there's no reason for you to have a CI pipeline. You can do, because the thing is that almost every single thing you can do with a CI pipeline, you can do with commit hooks in Git or something of that nature. You can do it locally. There's no magic to the CI pipeline. All it allows you to do is to have a single place where all of the testing is done, so that if you have a lot of people working on the project, we all have a way of seeing, okay, what everybody else is working on. Because when you're pushing code and a job is running, you can see who pushed the code, where they are in the testing stage, all of that good stuff. So it's a way of just being very transparent with what you're doing with the code base. So my rule of thumb is at least one team of developers. That's going to be at around 4 people, because less than that is just simpler to keep it simpler. Because remember, CI pipelines pushes up your complexity. It's more maintenance, and you want to keep down maintenance and all that stuff as much as you can. You should only add this sort of tool if you feel that it's going to be valuable. And that's where I said these two things factor in. CI pipelines are valuable when you have a long-running project that you're going to maintain over time, and you have at least one team of developers. If you have these two things, you should absolutely use them. I can only say that I've been, every single non-trivial project that I've been part of, I've used this sort of tools, these sorts of tools. So hopefully this was useful to you. Have a great day.